This video is going to talk about the last and final component of your case study, which is the SMART goal, or the IEP goal for the case study. We've already talked about selecting the student, collecting the background information on that student, completing the data, collecting the data based on selecting the student's behavior that you want to focus on, performing a functional behavior analysis and analyzing your data, and then finally identifying 3 to 6 strategies that you want the child to learn so that they have a new behavior to replace the old behavior. And now you're going to state it in a formal way by creating a SMART goal. SMART goal is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So for example, let's take Johnny. Johnny is a solid B student. However, he constantly is distracting his peers by shooting spitballs at them. So, knowing that we want our classroom to be hygienically clean and that we want every student to learn and for you as a teacher to teach, we have to identify and create a SMART goal. By doing that, we've already performed our functional behavior analysis, and we've identified that every time Johnny is in math class, the number of spitballs increases by 10-fold compared to the other classes. We know the old behavior. We want to teach Johnny the new behavior to replace the old behavior of shooting spitballs. The first step is to create the SMART goal, and in that first step of the SMART goal is specific. You don't want to say you want Johnny to be a good student. You want Johnny to behave in class. That's too broad. You want to focus on the behavior. You want Johnny to stop throwing spitballs. So the focus is on that behavior which is distracting to his peers. Is it measurable? Can you measure the decrease in spitballs that are being shot in math class? Yes. How? By keeping a log, by keeping a tally. Then, what is the behavior that you want to replace it? Well, part of it is you're going to have to interview Johnny and figure out why in tarnation is he shooting spitballs at people during math class. It turns out that Johnny has a fear of math, and he is very anxious about it because he hasn't really been good at it. So, you design a new behavior for Johnny to learn. That during math class, right before homework is to be taken out, or right before work is to be done, Johnny is able to express appropriately his feelings of anxiety or worry to you as a teacher. And he can do this by taking a break. He can do this by saying, "I need to take a break, Mrs. Johnson." Johnny can also use a nonverbal cue, such as doing a hang 10 with his hand to indicate that he needs a break. Johnny can also use a code word, saying Doritos. That's the code word between you and Johnny to say, Johnny's feeling anxious, let me go over and see how I can help him. The specific goal is Johnny will identify that he is feeling anxious and report it to you or report it to the teacher in an appropriate way, such as using a code word or a nonverbal cue, or simply raising his hand and saying, "I'm feeling anxious, Mrs. Johnson." The next step in the SMART goal, is it relevant? Is the behavior that you're teaching Johnny relevant to Johnny's performance? In this case, the answer is yes. If you say that every time, instead of Johnny throwing a spitball, I'm going to have him have him call home. That really doesn't relate to his behavior. Or I'm going to have him sit for 5 minutes at recess. He seems to be fine at recess, so how is that connecting to the behavior? It's just teaching him that unless he behaves, he's going to lose recess time. I'm not sure if that's what you really want to teach the student. Connecting the new behavior to what is causing the student to distract others, or distract himself, or distract the teacher. That is what your goal is. That's what a SMART goal is. And finally, timely. You want to put a date on that. By when will Johnny have learned to go like this, a nonverbal cue, to identify that he is feeling anxious about math. By when? Is it in a month? Is it in 2 months? Is it in 3 months? Typically, when you're setting a SMART goal, you want, if in terms of this type of behavior, you want to set at least 2 months. If by chance Johnny masters it, that's great. If he doesn't, you can always move the date. It's not Torah Missinae where you have to keep it exactly the way it is. Last step is with the IEP goal. Guess what? The SMART goal is the IEP goal. The IEP goal and objectives that you may have seen in IEPs or at 504s, they're worded the exact same way that a SMART goal is. It's just not using special ed terminology. But guess what? It's the same thing. In an IEP goal, you would say, Johnny will identify that he is anxious by showing a nonverbal cue such as doing a hang 10 to the teacher with 80% success rate by February 1st, 2017. That statement is specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant, and it's timely. So your job is to take the new behavior that you want Johnny to focus on from your student, from your own case study, and how are you going to teach the student the new behavior, measure how the student is performing the new behavior, and to be able to identify by when should Johnny have learned the new behavior. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.